Hey, what's up? So, latest update. This is my adventures with the API box console. I think I got it, what, November? Something like that? Maybe early December? I don't remember. Anyway, some of the projects that, I've first tracked through the console are finally ready to mix, and that's exciting. I've already mixed a live album through it and loved that. That was a lot of fun. Being that it was a live album, I went whole hog and just went full analog and, used all these goodies in the mix. And, that was cool, but part of that was that it was a live album. We were burning through it, and, it wasn't going to be a lot of, tweaking and editing and whatever. Kind of just did it and it was done, and man, did it sound great. But now we're into the the serious studio stuff where artists the conundrum with a live mixing with an analog mixing board is that recall sucks and artists like to tweak forever. So and whatever, I don't blame them. So what I'm starting now is a true hybrid approach, which fortunately the board was really made for that. So we're basically, I'm going to be doing all the processing in the computer, but I am breaking out groups, call them stems, whatever you want to call them, and so I am doing summing on the board, which is it really is a summing console, and that I am going to do one thing though, which is I'm going to do analog processing on the master bus, starting with the built-in stereo 527 compressors, but I am going to actually go for a master bus insert and throw in the Fern compressor and probably the Pultex and the curve bender, basically my mastering chain, and that'll be fun. And as I've said this in previous videos, like what I'll do is I'll run the output of the board after all of that back to a stereo input bus in the DAW, and then run that through a brick wall limiter. My favorite right now is the Plug-in Alliance True Peak, BX True Peak. I think it's just an amazing brick wall limiter, and it really catches intersample peaks, and it's the most transparent that I've found for getting your levels up to competitive RMS. So anyway, that's going to be my basic signal flow, and I'll be monitoring the output of that. This was the key part, through the 2-track. So right now I'm on the program. I'm just monitoring the program output, but at the point in the mix when I'm ready to throw in the master effects and everything, and I'll switch to 2-track so that I can hear that brick wall limiter as well. And otherwise, I'm taking advantage of a really cool feature on this board, which is the 0 dB. Basically, they API built in on the right side of the board anyway, a way to bypass the faders. So, you don't have to worry about recalling fader positions, and it's just less circuitry. Nobody ever said, wow, I really got to run my audio through these faders because they sound so good. So, we're going to bypass the faders. But I'm also using the left side of the console for mixing to get all 24 channels. And for that, it's no big deal. I'll just zero out the faders, and, and then I don't have to remember anything. Now what's, the drag is I have all this, great analog EQ on these channels, and it's going to be really tempting to want to use it, but the whole point is, I could use it and just document it, but the whole point is to have quick, easy, instant recall. So I'm going to do my best to avoid that. The funny thing is, you know, I've been using API stuff forever. It was the first board I ever worked on. And, you know, I was always a little perplexed as to why they made their gains stepped. And, you know, and I always, like, I preferred, you know, for instance, these Neves, the gains are variable. And, you know, I can get a lot more detailed with that. I can really get it exactly where I want it. But now that I'm worrying about recall, I see what it's all about, which is, you know, if you're going to recall 24 of these, stepped is way better. You know, it's really almost a necessity. So I'm thinking I might relent and run at least like the lead vocal through, you know, like I have API 550As that sound incredible. You know, I might run it through that and maybe an LA2. It has 2 knobs. You know, it's so hard about recalling that. So I may actually give in and do that much. But anyway, this is my plan for the best of both worlds and having recallable mixes. Got a lot of mixing coming up, and you know, it happens every time. You know, a few days later or 2 weeks later, whatever. You know, an artist will want to tweak something. You have to be able to recall the mix. Yeah, I've seen people, you know, say like they take pictures of the gear, they take video of the gear, you know, but it's so mind-numbing and painstaking to dial everything back in, and it's never, you know, it never comes back exactly the same, particularly things like fader positions. Yeah, I mean, the faders are great on that console. They're so sensitive that, you know, the tiniest little bit, you know, makes a huge difference. So, you know, instead of going nuts, you know, with that, I need to be able to jump from mix to mix easily. So I think this is going to be the way forward. You know, 2 thoughts about it though, which is, one of the reasons why I actually feel good about doing this is because the tracks have been going so well. So far, everything I've tracked, you know, since getting the console, I mean, well, my tracks were fine beforehand, but really just feel fantastic. You know, I mean, this will probably come up in the comments. I mean, I know like the board only has 8 recording channels, so it hasn't had, you know, that dramatic of an impact on tracking, but, you know, it's, put it this way, it didn't get worse when I got the board. And, you know, I went from having 4 API 512Cs to now having 8 of the 312s that are in the board. But the nice thing is my 512s didn't have output faders, you know, like the 512Vs have, but I do with the board now, so I can, you know, I can do that. I can push the transformers in the pre's, which is really nice. But yeah, so I'm thinking because the tracks are coming out so well, I can stand to do in the box mixes with analog summing. And you know, I mean, if the project ever comes along, you know, maybe tracks come in from a different studio or something that really needs saving in the mix, I can always, you know, go the other way and just turn to that stuff. But for the stuff that, you know, I've been recording lately, the stuff I have to mix now, I really feel pretty good about that. The other thought I had though is I think I'm considering investing in the SSL UC-1 for mixing. Again, just to simplify and streamline, and also to keep the analog feel in mixing, to have real knobs, and you know, so because that's part of what this was all about. It's wanting to get away from the mouse and get away from, you know, and everything that sucks about in the box mixing. So yeah, I'm really leaning toward that, and yes, and leaning as heavily as I can on those plugins. part of the reason why I want to go that way, not just for the hardware, is I already have the current version of the SSL Bus Compressor, the version 2 of the native bus compressor. I got in on the ground floor with that. They had some huge promotion when that bus compressor first came out. I don't remember what I paid, $25 or something, like very little. And the first generation didn't blow my mind. I didn't use it very much, but the new one really does blow my mind. And anyone who hasn't tried it, like seriously, it's amazing. It's really great. And check this out. This is what I mean by really great. I already have the UAD, G series SSL bus compressor. What other ones do we have? So I have the plug-in alliance package, with the townhouse. It's nice. It's good. Those are both really good. But more than that, I had the Audioscape hardware SSL compressor, and this new plugin from SSL is better than all of them by a lot, not by a little. Like the Audioscape, I'm sorry guys, I love you, Chris, and look, I have plenty of Audioscape gear, the LA2s, the V-Comp, and I even just got their DI. I love Audioscape, they're amazing. But that SSL compressor, it pushes like the high mids in a way that, like, I suppose it makes the top of a snare pop out in the mix, but that's not what the actual SSL does. The actual SSL bus compressor is more like a lower mid-range push, and there's more meat in what it does to, the drums. I'm sorry, man, it just didn't do it for me. And the SSL plugin is more like, the hardware sound to me. It has more of a low end push, but it's very controllable. The variable high pass filter and the mix knob, you can really sculpt that low end with it, but there's nothing harsh about it. It's a really great plugin, and it's about the only example I can think of where I like a plugin more than hardware. So I haven't used their channel strip yet, but if it's half as good as the bus compressor, I'm looking forward to it a lot. And having the tactile control, of the actual knobs and everything. I've heard people, I've read people on the Plugin Alliance forums talking about, I can't remember the name of the company, but somebody makes a more generic controller, not the Control 1 Surface thing, but somebody else makes a more generic controller that can be mapped to any SSL channel strip, but honestly, I'd rather have the tight integration of having it all be SSL. Also, not to mention the fact that 360 software is something that's very attractive to me. I've been wanting that for 20 years, to be able to sort of ignore the DAW itself and just have channels come up like an SSL console. I wish API would do that, and Neve, and I wish you could do that for all of this. I don't want to look at a DAW, I want to look at a mixing board, so that's very attractive to me. So I think I'm going to go that way. I'm going to try out the UC-1, and part of it's like part of the whole thing is that, like, I don't think my tracks are going to need a whole lot of work in the first place. So I think it should do everything I need. And in terms of bus compression, as much as everything I just said positive about the SSL bus compressor, that's the one thing I'm going to be doing analog anyway, like for the mix at least, maybe not for the drum bus, but that's going to be the API and the Fern. So yeah, I think I'm optimistic. Yeah, that's what you found. But anyway, the adventure continues. That's my plan. And I'd love to hear anybody's thoughts about it. Just drop comments, and I'll let you know how it goes and how I'm feeling about the mixes. And, you know, with artist approval, I'll try to post some stuff too. All right, take care. Bye.